In this tutorial, we'll look at entering data into Excel and also selecting. So the simplest way to enter data into Excel is simply to click in the cell and to type. Notice when I click back on that cell, in the formula bar the same text appears. So let's try that again. As I'm typing, it's appearing up in the formula bar. So it would be possible to click here in the cell, then click in the formula bar and put the data in that way. Now that's generally not the fastest, but at times when it's complex data, it's actually easier. To get back into edit something you've already typed, you can double click in the cell itself, or you can click on the cell, click up in the formula bar if you prefer, and enter it that way. Now I'm going to resize these quick, but we'll look at that in another video about how to do that. When you're entering data and you want to move them to the next cell, I can use my mouse, but I can also use the Tab key, and that will jump me to the next cell. When you reach the end of a row and hit Enter, Excel will more than likely jump you back to the beginning of the next row. Now you will find that there are exceptions to that, but generally it works. So let's try it again. 1, Tab, 2, Tab, 3, Enter. And it's a quick way to enter data. Another way to enter data is to copy and paste it. So from Excel, perhaps this row of information or this cell of information needs to be repeated. So what I can do is click on it and I'm going to copy it. Now there are lots of different ways to copy. There's a copy button up here. That's probably the slowest way. There's a right click and copy, which a lot of people use. But there's also holding down the Control key on your keyboard and tapping C. Now anything we do with the Control key on a PC, we would do with the Command key on a Mac. It's extremely similar, and the commands are almost always exactly the same. Not always, but almost always. So Control C, click where you want to put the information, and then either paste, right click and paste, or what I like because it's faster is Control V. Now I'm not limited to doing that one cell at a time, so I can select these two, Control C, Control V, or I could select this entire block, Control C, click where I want it, and Control V. Now, that's a copy and paste. We also have something called a cut and paste. So I can take this entire block of information, here, all of it, and I can cut it. So here, or what I'm going to do is Control X. Now what that's done is it's copied that into computer memory. It looks like it's done nothing so far, but when I click in my new location and I paste it, either paste, same as before, paste, or Control V, it simply moves it from this location to the other location. I'm going to put it back. Now there's one other method of moving things. I'm going to select this and I'm going to lay my mouse over the edge, and you'll see it goes from that big plus sign to a four-way arrow, and now I can grab it and I can drag it. Now I don't think that's the most convenient way to do it, but I show it to you because you may do it accidentally and wonder why your data is moving around, and that's why. If you catch it on the edge here, you can drag it. Now, in addition to copying and pasting from within Excel, you can copy and paste from other programs as well. So if I go to Microsoft Word, I've turned on my Hide Show button. So this is showing me invisible characters. These dots are actually spaces, and this is a paragraph. These arrows are actually tabs. So let's see the difference. If I copy, Control C, something with spaces in it, and I come back to Excel, wow, it looks like it went into 3 cells. But when I click on cell A10, you'll notice all the information is really in there. If I click on B10 and C10, there's nothing in there. So all that information is actually in the first column, even though it appears like it might not be. If I select the entry with tabs and I come back, now when I paste it, they actually do go into different columns. And finally, if I do select the table in Microsoft Word, that is going to paste into different Excel cells very, very easily. So let me clean this up a little bit. Notice here that it did bring across this table border, and when you are cutting and pasting from other programs, it will bring in a lot of formatting, and in one of our next videos we'll show you how to clean that up and how to do your own formatting. Okay, last thing, what about the internet? If you go to the internet, you can select anything and copy it into Excel. So I'm going to take Teterboro, New Jersey here. I'm going to copy that, paste it back into Excel. See, it comes in, it brings formatting as well. I must have missed the T. But if something on the internet is in a table, now it may not be apparent to you that this is a table, but it is. They simply have the borders turned off. If it is in a table and if you select it correctly, and that can be a little tricky, and copy that information, when you bring it across, it will drop into the cells. Now notice this is a bit of a problem here. What it did here is it merged these cells into a single cell, and that may or may not be a problem depending on what you want, but we'll look at ways to clean all that stuff up later. Okay, let's come over here to sheet 2. We're going to look at some quick ways to select. So when I want to work on data, if I want to make it bold or I want to move it or I want to delete it, you can click on it and that will select a single cell. So I've deleted that information. Let me undo it. You can also take a block of information. So let's say that I don't want this information, or I do want to copy this information. Say, click in the first cell but hold the mouse button down, drag until you're in the last cell that you want and release. And now you've selected a block of information. If you want to select a column, you can do it by clicking on the column letter. If you want to select an entire row, click on the row number. And then there's some tricks for selecting quickly and for moving around your document quickly. So if I am up here in cell A1 and I want to go to the bottom of my document, I can simply say, hold down a Control key, Command on a Mac, and hit End. Now it brought me to the last row, but why did it bring me all the way here to F? And the reason is the notes that I left over here. It's seeing this as a large block, and this is the bottom corner. When I say Control End, that's the bottom corner of the block. Control Home will always bring you back to the beginning. So Control End, Control Home. To jump to the very end of a row, we'll hold the Control key, Command on a Mac, and hit the right arrow. To jump to the bottom of that column, let's go back, the bottom of the first column, Control and down arrow. So combinations of Home and End and the arrow keys with Control will allow you to jump around your document very, very quickly. It takes a little bit of practice. There's lots of resources on the internet as well who show you a ton of tricks. There's a million different ways to do it. Now what if I want to select some of this data? I simply introduce the Shift key into the combinations. So if I'm holding down the Control key, I hold down the Shift key. This time when I hit End, it selects the entire block of information. If I hold down Control and Shift and hit the right arrow, it will select everything in a row. If I hold Control Shift and hit the down arrow, it selects everything in the column. If I happen to be selected in the middle somewhere, let's say I'm here and I want to select everything from here up, I can say Control Shift Home, and you'll notice that it only selected from where I started to the top. Control Shift left arrow would jump me back this way. So again, lots of combinations, lots to play with. Don't worry about getting it all at once. Okay, that takes, if you're using Excel, it takes a little bit of time to master those Shift, Control, arrow, home keys, etc. But they're very, very useful if you're doing a lot of work in Excel.